Hello and welcome to Full Speed Racing, where this week we have got action from the Quaife Intermart League at Silverstone, but we start at Snetterton with the F3 Cup as they are beginning to reach the crunch point of the season. Just 5 races to go, including today's. Cars on their formation lap and 3 drivers still very much in championship contention. Alice Powell and Alex Craven, who lock out the front row of the grid, and then Tristan Cliff, who's not competing. So third on the grid it's David Scott, 4th Louis Hamilton Smith, then 5th Tony Bishop from Mark Harrison. So in terms of the championship battle, this is Powell's and Craven's opportunity to build out the buffer over Cliff as the car's getting ready for the off. Eyes to the gantry as the red lights flash out and away we go. It's a super start from third from the red car of David Scott, who immediately puts the pressure on the white machine pink helmet Alice Powell, who leads into riches for the first time she has got though. Alex Craven challenging around the outside line. Then in 4th place it's the yellow and black car of Louis Hamilton Smith as Craven draws alongside Alice Powell as they hit the brakes into the Montreal hairpin. David Scott in the red machine lurking with intent in 3rd. Everybody else is cleanly through, although Tony Bishop, the red car, number 7, just gets a little bit sideways. He's got Mark Harrison chasing him down as the leading trio sprint through Palmer and sprint on towards the left-hand hairpin at Agostini. There is Dave Kraskus, the blue and silver car, to 4 of the trophy class, which is for the pre-2002 cars. He is under pressure from Stuart Wiltshire. There is Wiltshire, it's Powell's teammate, as they work around Agostini. Already though, out of Hamilton, the race leader Alice Powell on the limit of adhesion in these early stages. She knows that this is a golden opportunity for her to possibly get one hand, or at least a couple of fingers, on the 2013 F3 Cup Championship crown. The same though goes for Alex Craven in 2nd position. Both of them raced with success in the Formula Renault BARC Championship. Powell, former champion, is in the background. Tony Bishop, you can see, has gone sideways and has spun coming onto the Bentley straight. So Bishop, an early retiree, as Powell and Craven exit Brundle Nelson, sprint on towards the bomb hole. And in 3rd position, David Scott, 4th, Hamilton Smith. Then we've got Harrison just from Dave Kraskus, who looks to the inside into the bomb hole. There's been quite a lot of dust though kicked up as they come out the bomb hole towards Coram, and there's been an incident, and Alex Craven is one of the cars involved, and it's Alice Powell who's the other. So the race leaders have had some sort of entanglement, and certainly Craven would appear to be going no further. Whether or not Alice Powell can get restarted remains to be seen. The rest of the pack though sprinting along the centre straight through to complete the first lap, with Dave Kraskus right in the slipstream behind Mark Harrison. Kraskus has got Ollie Ray and Pursuit, the pair of them fighting for those trophy class honours, so Kraskus would really like to put the car of Harrison between himself and Ray. As they come out of riches though, it's Ollie Ray in the mid-2000s Renault coloured car, so the sky blue and yellow. It's really pressurising Kraskus. The pair of them hit the brakes, jigged down through the gears. Both Kraskus and Ray, by the way, in 2001 Spectre Lara, so they're the most modern cars in the class, as Craven and Powell step somewhat disconsolately away from their machinery. I suspect that may well bring out the safety car. Indeed it does. So the race is neutralised. Of course, we've also got the car of Tony Bishop requiring recovery as well. So this is not going to be the work of a moment for the marshals and course workers here at Snetterton, as Dave Kraskus acknowledges the safety car coming out. There is Tony Bishop. And Lawrence should not be at 90 degrees to the circuit. So he hops out, and yes, with this being a timed race and the recovery time possibly being longer than that, the red flag has come out and proceedings are brought to a halt. Unfortunately for Alice Powell and Alex Craven, their day is done. After a bit of a pause, spectators the opportunity to reflect on what they have seen. The 5-second board is shown to drivers getting ready for the restart as the red lights come on. Now who's going to get the jump? Will it be David Scott or Hamilton Smith as they sprint from the line? And it's David Scott who takes the immediate advantage. Louis Hamilton Smith following in pursuit into riches. Then it's the white car, Mark Harrison in 3rd. In 4th, Stuart Wiltshire chopping across the bows of Dave Kraskus. There is Kraskus, former historic Formula 1 racer. And then Nick Robinson, Ollie Ray completing the field. Well, David Scott has been on the podium previously in the F3 Cup. Louis Hamilton Smith, his pursuer, former race winners. So they're quick drivers, which know that David Scott, the racing driver, is not to be confused with David Scott, the estimable race director for SVR, who in turn is not to be confused with the David Scott who raced in British Formula 3 back in the early 1980s. Clearly it's a name that which works very well with success in Formula 3 machinery as they accelerate out of Agostini on towards Hamilton. Already Scott and Hamilton Smith beginning to break clear of Mark Harrison. Harrison in third though, presented with a golden opportunity to get himself onto the rostrum today at Snetterton, and one that I'm sure he will do his utmost to let slip away. So accelerating then out of Williams onto the Bentley straight. Louis Hamilton Smith works the Red Bull Formula 1 team, chasing down David Scott, works the Mercedes Formula 1 team as they hit the brakes. Turn through Brundle Nelson, Dave Kraskis and Stuart Wiltshire side by side, and it is Wiltshire who just keeps his nose in front of Dave Kraskis. Wiltshire in a car 6 years younger than that of Kraskis. It's 2007 Spectre Lara. Wiltshire as they kick up the dust next to the bomb hole. You can see how easy it would have been for Craven and Powell to have that coming together. And actually Wiltshire ran off the road then because he's lost ground to Ollie Ray and Dave Kraskis. So Ray just kept his foot in through the murk, and he has gained the position over Dave Kraskis and Stuart Wiltshire as well. Now what can Kraskis do about finding his way past the Kiwi Ollie Ray, the pair of them disputing the trophy class? But Ray, really since mid-season, has been plagued with engine issues in his car, and Snetterton, not all of it these days, but much of it still very much a power circuit. Let's have another look then at the drama of Stuart Wiltshire. There is the slippery surface flag being shown by the marshals into the bomb hole. Stuart Wiltshire finds slippery surface, slithers out wide over the curbs in the cloud which obscures the view. Ollie Ray kept his foot in, others did not. Well, still at the front of the field, David Scott leading the way from Louis Hamilton Smith out of Nelson on towards the bomb hole. Hamilton Smith though coming back towards Scott, and this is what Louis Hamilton Smith is very, very good at, is really upping the pressure as the race progresses. Sometimes doesn't have the greatest starts to the race, Hamilton Smith, but he's always to be in the reckoning in the latter stages. Out of Murray's then on to the centre straight once more. Now is Hamilton Smith close enough on this occasion to take advantage of the slipstream behind David Scott? I don't think he quite is. Then in third position Mark Harrison, still Ollie Ray and Dave Kraskis do battle over fourth and the trophy class lead. It's Ray who's got the inside line, but it's Kraskis who's got the straight line speed advantage, who moves the four in the trophy class. Let's hope that's not a recurrence of mechanical issues for Ollie Ray, because if it is, he's got Stuart Wiltshire not too far back behind him. So the Enigma Motorsport man, Linton Stootley's team. Ray locking the brake into Montreal. He's pushing very, very hard, is Ollie Ray, possibly a little bit too hard on that occasion because it leaves him vulnerable to attack from Stuart Wiltshire, who pounces and goes past, and Ray, suspect after that lock-up, may need to contemplate changing a tyre. In the meantime though, the front of the field, Louis Hamilton Smith and David Scott flying in formation, very little to choose between the pair of them. David Scott, the 2005 Spectre Lara, took Alvaro Parente to British Formula 3 success. 2004 Spectre Lara of Louis Hamilton Smith, of course the car that assisted Nelson Piquet Jr. en route to the championship. Out of Williams rather, accelerating down the Bentley straight. And it would just appear that David Scott has maybe got the corner advantage. Hamilton Smith potentially running a little bit less wing. He's quick in the straight. David Scott has just got the traction, particularly through the slower corners, and that is making it very, very hard for Louis Hamilton Smith really to get onto terms with him as they arrive into the bomb hole. Hopefully the circuit dressing will have been cleared somewhat. You're certainly the cloud of dust being kicked up a little bit less obscuring on this occasion, but we're getting towards the end of the race here. They've only got a lap or so remaining, and Louis Hamilton Smith really is going to have to pull out something pretty remarkable from his bag of tricks if he is going to find a way past David Scott. So over the line they come, and David Scott leads the way, 1.5 seconds or so. Then we have got this group of cars, Dave Kraskis in fourth, still with Stuart Wiltshire in behind him. They go through the bomb hole on towards Coram Curve, remodelled for the 2011 season Coram Curve, and actually remodelled again in the early 1990s, because back in 1989 Paul Stewart won a Formula 3 race here at Snetterton going backwards when he spun out of the old high-speed Russell chicane. Well, no such concerns for David Scott today, or indeed the class leader in the trophy class, Dave Kraskis. They both spurt out of Murray's in perfect control of their machinery. Arriving into Richard Stuart Wiltshire though, he can to try and come back at Dave Carrascus. Meanwhile though, Scott is looking well set for the victory. He's just got half a lap or so remaining, and in a race that has been interrupted, that has had more than its fair share of drama, David Scott has just kept his head down. He has had a very, very fine weekend overall here at Snetterton, and against all expectations it is going to be David Scott who has been in total command of this restarted race. Hamilton Smith has pushed him, but he's not been able to push him quite hard enough, so accelerating out of Murray's for the final time and on towards the checkered flag. It's going to be F3 Cup victory at Snetterton for Scott. Second place goes the way of Louis Hamilton Smith, and the rostrum to be completed by Mark Harrison. In the trophy class, Dave Carrascus once more set to score another win. It's been a fine season this from the vastly experienced Carrascus. And despite the pressure from Ollie Ray and Stuart Wiltshire throughout the course of this race, Carrascus has been able to move to the head of the class, and he accelerates out of Murray's for the final time and on towards the checkered flag and class victory. Thumbs up from Carrascus to the marshal as he acknowledges the flag. We'll take a look at the classification with victory for Scott. Second place, Louis Hamilton Smith. Mark Harrison, a fine drive to complete the rostrum from Dave Carrascus, Stuart Wiltshire, Nick Robinson and Ollie Ray in 7th. So in terms then of the championship standings, after 14 rounds, Alice Powell leads the way by just 10 points. Alex Craven with Tristan Cliff a further 14 back. Everything to race for at Donington Park and then Snetterton at the end of the year. That's it for part 1. Join us after the break with action from Silverstone and the Quaife Intermart League.